We don't believe that God either knows the best or we just don't know God. That's why we run. All right? Let's talk about Jonah. Jonah. 3 things will always happen when you run from God. Always, always, always. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, and he said, go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it because its wickedness has come up before me. Well, watch what happens right here. When we run from God, we usually run to stupid places. Stupid places. What does Jonah do? Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port, and after paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. All right, let me put a map up here of the Jonah journey, okay? Jonah is over here in Israel. He goes down to Joppa, and instead of boarding a ship to go to Nineveh, he boards a ship to go to Tarshish. Does that help you a little bit? Okay, this is not a no thanks to God. This is a expletive no to God. This is a oh no you didn't to God, okay? But what my point about this is that you're going to get in a boat? I mean, really? You're going to run from God and you're going to get in a boat? Does that make any sense? You're going to go out into the sea? This is like those horror movies, right? Where they hear a noise in the basement and they're all like, oh, well, I guess we should go figure out what the noise is coming from the basement. You're like, no, the scary music's on. You know the hockey mask guy is down there. Don't go down in the basement. If I'm here talking to Jonah, I'm like, Jonah, stay on the land, man. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm going to run from God. I'm going skydiving. This is so dumb. But let me ask you, a show of hands, how many of you would say in running, as I look back on my life, in running from God, I have run to some really stupid places, all right? Yeah, isn't that funny? I mean, we really, really do. And what happens is our family and our friends, they're like, you're going where? You're going to marry who? You're going to work where? You bought a what? You're getting in a boat? Come on. Every one of us, if we look back on running from God, like your biggest regret relationally, you would look back and say, man, how could I have been so blind? I'll tell you how you could have been so blind. You were running from God. Singles, can I just say this? This is a good Andy Stanley point. If you're running from God, please don't get married. Right? You run, do whatever you want to do, but please don't get married. Don't start a business with somebody if you're running from God. Don't make a bad choice because you're probably going to run to stupid places when you're running from God and not even realize it. Secondly, when we run from God, our life usually falls apart. This is kind of the point here, right? Our life usually falls apart. What happens to Jonah when he runs? Now, here we go. The Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid. Now, you got to understand this, right? It takes a lot to scare a sailor. They're pretty used to the sea. They were afraid, and each cried to his own God. And they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. And the captain went to him and said, how can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us, and we will not perish. Then the sailors said to each other, come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity. And they drew straws, they rolled the dice, whatever it was. They're like, let's figure out what the problem is. And they cast lots, and the lot fell to Jonah. It didn't take very long for Jonah's world to become unraveled. Because that's what always happens when we run from God, is our life becomes unraveled. Maybe not in a night, maybe not in a weekend, but it will come apart. Why? Because you're turning your back on God, your Father, who knows the right things for you. You're turning your back on the God of wisdom, the God of love, the God who knows everything and the right way for you to live, and you're running the opposite way, so your life is going to unravel. And the third thing I see from this story, when we run from God, we run to stupid places, our life falls apart, and you always hurt the people who are close to you. Isn't that true? The people you live with, the people you date, the people you marry, if they're running from God as their life unravels, your life is going to be negatively impacted. In the story of Jonah, think about the sailors. That's what I'm talking about in here, right? What did they do first? They jettisoned their cargo, which meant losing money. And when they get to port and they have no cargo, they're probably going to lose their jobs. And now they're fearing that they're going to lose their lives, right? So what did they do? All they did wrong was let a guy on the boat who was running from God. I mean, if you let a guy on your boat who's running from God, your life is going to be negatively impacted. Moms and dads, if you are running from God, listen to me. If you're running from God, your spouse and your kids are going to be injured by the shrapnel of your life as it blows up. It's not just about you.